Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Calling to order Clark County Council and council time, Wednesday, January 28th, 2026. We'll start with the roll call.
Counselor Young,
Here.
Counselor Belcott,
Present.
Counselor Fuentes,
Here.
Counselor Little,
Here.
Chair Marshall.
Here. Are there any amendments to the agenda? Any amendments?
None today.
None today. Okay, then we're going to proceed with public comment. And if I could just get a show of hands, how many people want to comment today? Okay, a whole bunch. So I would just ask the council, because we don't have the longest agenda, but if there's a desire to limit public comment by time or amount of time you want to take for public comment, I'm just asking.
How many public speakers do we have?
Oh, well, there's a room full of people, and I believe most of the hands came up.
One idea, when I testify at the state legislature, if there's this many, they usually limit it to 2 minutes. Sometimes it's been 1, but I think 1 would be too short.
Is there any objection to that from the council?
Not for
Limit
me.
it to 2 minutes?
Chair,
Yes.
I would just add one thing, and that is I wouldn't, there's been a connection between the FBI contract and this agenda item today, which is really us discussing whether or not we're going to make a statement on immigration. And although the two do have a link to each other, I would ask folks that they save their comments for the FBI contract for when that comes before the council and keep the comments today towards the statement on immigration.
Right. Well, just to clarifying, comments today are limited to items that are on the agenda, and the FBI contract, if we proceed with that, is not on the agenda today. So thank you for that clarification. Other thoughts before we get started with public comment?
We're doing 2 minutes.
Okay, so we'll limit it to 2 minutes. I think there was agreement on that. And again, limit your comments to 2 minutes and keep your comments to the agenda items on our council time agenda. Okay, let's get started.
Monica Tabor Zazueta,
Okay, hello everyone. Good to see you. So yeah, I had something prepared, but being limited to 2 minutes and also needing to keep it to the ICE, I will speak. So right now we need from you is not another performative statement that doesn't actually do anything. We need material commitments about how you intend to hold these federal agencies accountable and how you intend to protect us from the violence and assaults on our civil liberties perpetuated by ICE. So last week I spoke on behalf of Vancouver Metro, LULAC, and Southwest LULAC, as well as sent you a letter. Also Indivisible Greater Vancouver has also signed on to that letter since then. And so last week, General Pam Bondi said that she is getting, quote, all of my federal agencies are coming in right now to support Homeland Security. We have the DEA, we have the ATF, and we have the FBI, of course. And I'm sorry that for the other one, but there's a connection with ICE and everything with the government happening right now. Sorry, my whole thing is, but I just wanted to say that right now, there's an alarming video of screaming children that has emerged from ICE detention facilities that have been widely reported to be abusing and neglecting detainees to the point of death, which the FBI has sent guard. So I'm sorry that I said that again, but I want you to know that this is very scary, and family, friends, acquaintances, and everyone that I know is scared. And I really need you to know that if you were a different color, how would this make you feel? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Kim McDougall. Kim McDougall? No? Bruce Barnes.
Good afternoon, counselors. Thanks for the opportunity to speak today. For the record, my name is Bruce Barnes. I'm a lifetime 60-year resident of this community, and I would urge you to honestly not make a statement. I know this is a charged room of people, but I would say leave this to the federal government and have our law enforcement assist in what is going on and document. Let me give you some numbers here. And what's concerning to me that it seems like it's always a chaotic thing that is planned, in my opinion, right? So I'm going to give you some numbers here. Under the Clinton administration, 12.5 million people were deported. Under the Bush administration, there was 10.3. Under the Obama, there was 5.2. And now under the Trump administration, there's been 1.5 million. Where were all the people during that time, right? It just seems like it's a divide and conquer thing here instead of everybody being cohesive and trying to figure this out. First of all, you got Miranda rights. It's, hey, the right to remain silent is your first and foremost right, right? You're also appointed a court-appointed attorney if you can't afford one, right? So those are some avenues to go through, right? And I don't care who's in this country. I don't. I know that every country that I went to, and I went to a hell of a lot of them over to do U.S. Embassy electrical work, I'd have a passport and a work visa, right? And it was fairness, right? Because the country wanted to protect their work, wanted to make sure that their people were safe, wanted to make sure that you were there legally, right? Okay. There's some people that are coming into this country that aren't safe to be in our country. The FBI knows it, the federal government knows it, and all of us in here got to know it because we've had attacks on the Twin Towers and everything else that have gone on in this country, right? Okay. We've got to do something different, right? And I'm a person that if it doesn't make sense, you know what I mean? Let's really think about what's going on here, right? Is this a divide and conquer? I think it is, right? But it's funny because I go to a lot of
Thank
these
you very
meetings.
much.
One more thing, if I may. I go
Just
to a
for
lot of these
fairness.
meetings and I wish there was this many people that showed up to
Bruce, if
the
you could
regular county meeting.
back. And this is to the audience. It's helpful if you don't boo, if you don't cheer. Let's just let everybody say what they're going to say. We'll treat people with fairness. It becomes intimidating when a majority of the group is promoting one thing or another. We want everyone to have a chance to express their views. So if you could help me out with this and just keep your expressions to yourself. Okay, let's go on with the next one.
Bradley, is it Branham? Branham?
Hello, good morning. My name's Bradley Branham. I live on Northeast Northeast 239th Street, Ridgefield. It's East Ridgefield, not the rich Ridgefield, but the farming side. And I just was hoping for the immigration statement that the council could make really strong statement about the First, the Second, the Fourth Amendment, and how our state constitution and also the RCW have laws that govern us Washingtonians. And I was hoping the council would instruct, but strongly, but hopefully, the sheriff and the jailers to make sure that at least keep evidence of any violations of these laws of our state, and potentially, or even arrest people if they're not acting within the bounds of their duties. And that's all I got to say. So thank you.
Thank you.
Jessica Hendricks?
Hello, dear community leaders. My name is Jessica. I live in Vancouver, and I'm speaking to agenda item 5.2. I'm here today to express my deep concerns in regards to ICE terrorizing our immigrant community, and I'm demanding that you make a strong statement against it. We have watched ICE murder American citizens abuse them, assault them, including children. This violence is completely unacceptable, and the county has a duty to protect its citizens, all of our citizens. I would like more than just a statement from you all. You need to have actions to back up your statement as well. And that includes getting federal agencies that are collaborating with ICE out of our community, out of our county. I just want you to understand, especially because many of you are sitting here are white and you have white privilege. And you need to understand that our community, especially our community members of color, are scared. They are afraid to leave their house. They are afraid to go to work. They are afraid to drop their kids off at school. They are afraid to go to the hospital to seek medical care. That is unacceptable, not okay. You're our leaders. You need to do something about it. You need to get ICE out of our county and all the agencies working with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, again, a reminder, it's helpful if you don't applaud.
David McDonald.
David McDonald, excuse me. Ridgefield, I'm speaking on 7.2, not 5.2. As an individual who was on the original TDR committee back in the 90s when we put together the comprehensive plan. First of all, TDR programs are designed to protect and conserve agricultural lands. So agricultural lands are senders, not receivers under a TDR program. The land that Ridgefield, and I assume Camas and LaCentre want to, are ag lands. How do we know that? They're designated Ag 20 under our comprehensive plan. In addition, as a county, we just spent $200,000 on a study, which came back finding that the lands were ag lands of long-term commercial significance. So, Mr. Stewart proposes to take those ag lands and convert them to non-ag lands for housing and employment. How does he do that? He just designates them as receivers right off the bat in his documents. He says, we're receivers. Then he says, what we're going to do is we're going to do another study. And that study has a predetermination that these lands will now be, by fiat, non-ag lands. Then he says that he'll ask the county to make them non-ag lands and de-designate them. And then he'll bring them into the urban growth boundary and he will make them an urban holding in the city, in the Ridgefield urban growth boundary. TDRs are to protect lands that are designated lands. So if you're going to do a TDR program, do it to protect the lands that we have designated.
Thank you very much.
And good luck today.
Julie Kopp.
Hi, Julie Kopp, District 2. First, I want to thank everybody on the council. You guys work really hard. It's a very demanding job. I'm amazed you can do another job on top of it because it's just overwhelming. Second of all, I've been watching these online, occasionally coming here, and last week I thought, oh, rules of procedure, that's going to be so boring. It was amazingly informative, and the discussion was very revealing. I agree with all the things you haven't, changes you're making. One thing I have is that it says here under regular meetings, while council meetings can be attended in person or virtually, it is preferred that councilors attend regular meetings in person. And I think it's very important that councilors come to these meetings so that people making public comments can actually look at your faces And most of you are very good about this, but one counselor in particular is rarely here. And I feel like it's not like you're having to commute to Olympia. You live in the county, you know what the job is, and I'd like to see more of the cheeks and seats when it comes to the council meetings. And then real quickly, I hope you can get a handle on the public comment, because there's some people who come to council and make public comments and basically harangue the audience, the council members, whoever's around. And I feel like it's really important to have a sense of decorum, that we're all in this together. And yeah, that's that. And I had more to say, but since you guys cut it out, that's it.
Folks can come back another time when we don't have so many people, so.
Michael Johnson.
Good afternoon, members of the board. My name is Mike Johnson. I live in Washougal, and I'm here to speak on 5.2. The anti-ICE protests we see being held in Seattle and in other cities throughout the state are treated by the mainstream media as nonviolent, grassroots expressions of free speech under the First Amendment. Some of the participants in these protests believe that that is what they are participating in. However, this could not be further from the truth. These protests are well-funded and well-planned, highly coordinated events sponsored by organizations like Antifa and other organizations that have expressed ill intent for federal law enforcement officials who are tasked with immigration enforcement. These insurrectionist organizations are carrying out illegal, dangerous actions against legitimate law enforcement officials that include doxing and death threats. I have in my possession 3 very expensive and well-coordinated websites that have been set up by professional protest organizations dedicated to planning and announcing locations, times, and information on how the public should respond when attending these protests. Consistent with federal accusations that Minnesota officials are allowing and abetting these organized groups who are fomenting tacit insurrection, the DOJ has issued grand jury subpoenas to top Minnesota officials and mayors of Minneapolis and St. Paul. The probe investigates potential conspiracy to obstruct federal immigration enforcement and ICE operations. Targeted officials are Governor Tim Walz, State AG Keith Ellison, Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, St. Paul Mayor Melvin Carter, and officials in Hennepin and Ramsey counties. These are officials, county officials just like you are. The investigation focuses on whether these officials, through actions of public statements, correspond to impede federal agents during immigration enforcement operations. The Trump administration, under both the Justice Department and DHS, have put sanctuary cities and.
Thank you. Your time is up. And again, please, for the audience, don't cry out or make comments when someone else has their 2 minutes to speak. Thank you.
Thea Marie.
Hello, my name is Sophia, and I am the Clark County Antifa protest funder and event organizer. I'm speaking here on new business item 5.2, the council's discussion on the Clark County immigration statement. Our nation was built by and upon the backs of immigrants. This isn't news. We know this. The martyrs of the Haymarket incident, who were all publicly exonerated after 5 of them wrongfully executed, they're the reason you have your 8-hour workday, right? They're the reason all of us do. They are an integral part of our community. Across the country, we are witnessing in real time, in many cases, the public execution of citizens by ICE. There have been 9 deaths in 2026 alone. 9. Just last December, we watched one of our community members be physically run over by this agency in Vancouver, Washington. Clark County's statement on immigration needs to be one that protects its community members, as well as one that acknowledges their sacrifice and their hardships. Allowing the FBI to sit on county-owned lands, knowing that they are currently targeting immigrants and activists who are protecting our community and its valuable members has to end. We are witnessing the rapid rise of fascism in this country, and it's only a matter of time before that unrest that we see on the news lands here on our doorsteps. Do the right thing, include explicit language not only stating county property will not be used to support ICE, its agent, or activities, and take these lands back. Fuck ICE, fuck Kash Patel, fuck Donald Trump,
Okay,
fuck
please.
fascism. And you know what?
No
Fuck
profanity.
Obama too. Fuck off.
Chair, point of
Go
order.
ahead.
We really need to get control in here. I really want to have this discussion. It's an important discussion for me to have with immigration in a statement. So please, let's be civil and not have to stay the meeting and come back next week.
Thank you, Councillor Young.
Diana Gisleris. I apologize if I.
Hi, my name is Diana Geislers, and I'm here today to speak to Agenda Item New Business 5.2. I come before you as a former county government employee, not from Clark County, but from a county in Florida. And believe it or not, I did move here for the weather. I'm also here as a member of Indivisible Greater Vancouver Planning Team. Our No Kings events have brought out thousands of residents concerned about the lawless nature of the current national administration. Today, I'm a proud American citizen, and you might not be able to tell by looking at me. Sorry, didn't think I'd get emotional, but I was undocumented. My parents brought me to this country when I was an infant, and it took 17 years for me to gain legal status. Sorry, a paperwork failure meant years of fear and uncertainty. That failure was a civil issue, because immigration violations are civil matters. What we are seeing now is not about immigration enforcement. It is about intimidation and fear directed at immigrant communities. I cannot imagine, I'm gonna take a breath. I cannot imagine hating children, families, or everyday people simply trying to build a better life. And I cannot imagine believing that violence against and the murder of people exercising their constitutional right to protest is ever justified. I hope that you cannot hold that kind of hate in your heart too. For our community, statements matter most when they are backed by real action. Immigration and Customs Enforcement is responsible for civil enforcement, not criminal law enforcement. Yet under the Trump administration, ICE has become increasingly militarized, causing real harm, fear, and instability for our communities.
Thank you very much. Your time's up.
Carol Anoy Matthews.
My name is Caroline Noe Matthews, and I would like to speak on Agenda Item 5.2. In your immigration statement to condemn the violent and terroristic actions of ICE against our community members, it is important for you to have relevance and meaning, and you must acknowledge that we as a society hold equally culpable individuals and organizations that have aided and abetted those who have perpetrated criminal acts. We all have seen the violence, the brutality, and terror that ICE and other immigration enforcement agencies are perpetrating on human beings. I urge you in your statement to condemn these violent and targeted actions. Too much of this is like what happened in the past. We have lived this before. In 1942, both of my grandfathers were declared enemy aliens by the federal government. They were investigated, surveilled, and arrested by the FBI. Then they were jailed and ultimately incarcerated in DOJ camps in New Mexico. Few individuals and organizations advocated for them. There were few words of condemnation against the federal government and little to no support for them or their families from their cities and counties. Their local governments failed them. I urge you not to fail your community members now. You have the chance here to say and do something to be on the right and just side to protect our community. Actively oppose these inhumane, unconscionable, and unconstitutional actions by federal agencies and do not aid and abet their unjust and illegal activities here in Clark County. Thank you.
Thank you.
Inez Inosa. Hinshaw, sorry. Inez Hinshaw. Hector Inosa.
Good afternoon, council members, staff, and fellow citizens. I live in Vancouver, Washington. My name is Hector Hinojosa. So earlier, I'm here to speak both to 5.2 and 7.2. And I agree with previous testifier regarding the TDRs. I watch TDRs happen and they're fair for the most part, but we're not making any more land in Clark County. So anything we trade for something else, I've watched, 15 years later, we trade that land for something else. So we have to be careful. We have to be very, very dedicated to learning all that is necessary when we do these TDRs. So I hope that the council will do that. I asked them to do that. Regarding 5.2, what we're doing, we are in Clark County, Washington, not Hennepin County, Wisconsin, Minnesota. I know that our council members are dedicated, very studious council members that have been elected to represent us. So toward that end, I'm sure that you've observed what has happened throughout the US. People have died. People's rights have been violated. And all I ask is that we stick to those, to defend those rights that we have as citizens. Nothing more, but nothing less. And lest we forget, the last time rights were violated, we wound up with a world war. So it's up to us to defend it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Carmen De Leon.
Yeah. Oops. Damn it. Don't start timing me. Okay. Can I talk just like that? Then, okay. My name is Carmen De Leon. I go by Mello. So I want to just mention Lincoln Riley, a nursing student in Georgia, murdered in February of 2024 by a Venezuelan national illegally charged here in the United States. Jacqueline Nunguera, a young girl in Houston, raped and strangled in June of 2024 to two Venezuelan nationals here illegally in the USA. Rachel Morin, 37, a mother of 5, murdered in August by a Salvadorian illegal arrested for the crime. Kayla Hamilton, a young woman with autism, killed in 2022 by a El Salvadorian MS-13 gang member. So don't tell me we don't need the protection of our ICE agents. I personally know this guy from Mexico with murder warrants out of Mexico because he killed for the cartel. He's hiding right now in Clark County, Camas to be specific, because he knows that he's protected here by certain people. And I see that as aiding and abetting the criminals. You know, my parents came from Guatemala. Yo hablo español, entiendo todo muy bien. Ellos vinieron aquí legalmente. They came legally. They learned the language. They never broke the law. That's possible. So guess what? They never feared the law. They never feared ICE. They knew they had their documentation. They had their permanent whatever. And like I say, the FBI, the CIA, the Sheriff's Department, and the police should all be working together, not dividing them, not creating a manufactured civil war. We need protection for people who come to this country and work, learn the language, pay taxes. Yeah, amen to that. That was my family. But the ones who come here to murder Lincoln Riley, excuse me, but they got to go. You know, I do have respect for my fellow citizens, and I do believe that law enforcement should protect us. And by not expediting these people out of our country, they're not helping us.
Is up. Your time is
And
up.
you did take
And
my
I
time.
would just like to remind people,
Too bad.
if you prepared a written statement and you'd like to share that with the council, you can leave it in the basket at the back of the room. Next.
Peyton Gift.
Wait, sorry, I'm going to make sure this is set up. Good afternoon. My name is Peyton Gift. I've had the pleasure of moving to Vancouver, Washington. And since I've come here, I found a flourishing community of incredibly kind and sweet people. The only way to continue that is if we all feel safe to walk these streets, to pay money at businesses, and to be kind to each other. I think encouraging more activity from agencies like ICE only instill fear in people that did not have it before. I think this will make our community weaker, and I think it will make people turn on each other and be unkind to their neighbors. ICE has already proven that they are deeply capable of infringing upon U.S. citizens' rights. They have infringed upon multiple people's First Amendment rights, Second Amendment rights, and Fourth Amendment rights. To invite these agents to exist within Clark County is to invite fear into our homes. It is imperative that if a statement is made by this council, that it be backed up by actual action. Words do not help our community, actions do. Please keep that in consideration, and thank you for hearing me today.
Thank you.
Karen Lossing.
Thank you. My name is Karen Lossing, and I live in Vancouver, and I'm here to speak on the new business item 5.2. I am a retired licensed clinical social worker. I spent 35 years working with families, children, marginalized populations, immigrant populations, Native Americans. I have seen video evidence of the disregard of the highly trained agents of ICE and Homeland Security, how they interact with the public. There is a deep lack of respect and regard for individual rights, differences, and following the rule of law. They have shown a complete disregard for judges' orders and seem to lack any semblance of humanity for our fellow people. I am particularly concerned with the children that I witness on my TV coming into my living room. We have no concept of what it is like for those children to have witnessed their parents being zip-tied, thrown around, they themselves zip-tied, separated from their parents. They are scared, and they are treated with utter disregard. The harm that is inflicted upon them is not going to go away. And it is up to all of us, because they are all our children. And we all need to be taking care of ourselves and our children. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike Newhouse.
My name is Mike Newhouse. I'm a resident of Vancouver. I'd like to comment on Agenda 5.2, new business. Any statement you make, actions speak significantly louder than words. Bringing the FBI closer to our community by letting them use Camp Bonneville in any way, particularly in light of recent national events, is an action the community doesn't want and quite frankly does not appreciate. You don't have to take my word for this. On the way here, I was at a protest. I'll be leaving here to go to a protest, 3 p.m. in Hazeldale. There's another one at 5 p.m., 4th Plain and Fort Vancouver Way. The people of Vancouver do not want the FBI in Camp Bonneville. I've yet to see a protest asking for more federal agents near Vancouver. There are people here who are more well-versed in the lore and the minutia of the legacy of the FBI, Camp Bonneville, and the Clark County Council. It sounds like some boss hog level hijinks to me. Polluted public lands, betrayal of public trust, backroom dealing, missing ammunition, exploded ordinances, unexploded ordinances. But as I said, I'll leave that to those the details better. I do want to get to the list of names of people who have been killed in ICE custody, because I have not heard these names. I probably will mispronounce them because I have not heard them. Luis Gustavo Nunez Caceres, Geraldo Lunes Campos, Victor Manuel Diaz, Para de Ley, Luis Beltran Yanez Cruz, Aber Sanchez Dominguez. Keith Porter just missed the list because they murdered him on New Year's Eve. There's a couple more. Everybody knows those, but the rest of these are equally important. And quite frankly, the way the rest of them died is, I don't know how you categorize these things, but more disgusting than seeing them murdered on TV, their medication not given to them, suicides in ICE detention that their families contest the fact that they were suicides, being choked to death. These people are being tortured until they sign deportation papers.
Thank you very much.
Beth Cooper.
Hi, my name is Beth Cooper. I live in Salmon Creek. I'm in District 2. I notice my counselor's not here. That's unfortunate. I am here to talk about new business item 5.2. I'll try to do it with maintaining palatable decorum as I discuss fascism. If Clark County is serious about its immigration statement, it should clearly say that county resources and county property will not be used to support or assist unchecked militarization immigration enforcement. Camp Bonneville is county-owned property, and the county is currently renegotiating the terms that allow the FBI to use it. I get that that's a different agenda item, but this statement could incorporate that concept readily. Right, because that statement needs to be backed by real action. So if you make a commitment in that statement, that's a dedication to real action. I urge the council to include explicit language stating that county property, including Camp Bonneville, will not be used to support ICE or agencies that assist ICE activities, which include murder. We are in unprecedented times. Why is this important to me? Because with an authoritarian government who is using fear tactics like murdering with impunity to keep us all afraid, it is vital that our elected officials say they have our backs. Right? You have an opportunity right now to tell our community through this statement that you will do everything within your power to protect us, that our immigrant communities are vital, that they're not just, that they're necessary, that we are better because of them. You have an opportunity to say that and combat the narrative that's coming down from the federal government. It would be really great if you would say you would do all you can.
Your time is
so
up.
sorry.
Thank you. Again, if you have a written statement you'd like to leave, there's a basket back there. It'll be shared with the council.
Emily Singleton.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Emily Singleton. I am a resident of Vancouver, Washington, and I am an American citizen. The Clark County core value states that they will protect its residents, especially the immigrant and refugee citizens or population. So I want an assurance from each and every one of you. How is the city or the county prepared to protect its citizens when an ICE invasion comes in similar to Minnesota? That's all I want to know. Are we prepared to protect our residents? And in regards to the business 5.2 item, the FBI is in partnership and in collaboration with ICE. I'd like to know who is really going to occupy that Camp Bonneville. Is it really ICE or is it FBI? So I need to know some transparency from each and every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Danae, is it Murphy?
Hi there, my name is Danae Murphy. I'm a resident of Vancouver and I'm here to speak on item 5.2. I know that seems like a surprise. In your immigration statement, I think you need to consider if FBI would be willing to work with our law enforcement if they were to, well, it's not if, when they kill somebody, one of our residents. And I think after what we've seen happening in Minneapolis and a few other places around the country, that we can expect that the FBI will not work with our local law enforcement. And maybe this will interest some of the people who are a little more enthusiastic about law enforcement than myself, that it is never a good look to keep our local law enforcement out of a crime scene for the interest of the residents of Clark County and Vancouver. And that's all I have to say on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alex Luna?
Good afternoon. Kind of threw me off my game there with the Camp Bonneville thing, but I'll do my best. So on January 20th, the city issued their declaration, and I will leave that part out since you cut the time. But I definitely think that if you are going to put forth a performative declaration, that the least you can do is include FBI and ATF, since we know that they're collaborators with ICE. I'd like to call back an important detail, which is from the FBI work session on Camp Bonneville, that 25% of FBI agents have been reassigned, and of the 90 that they claimed live in Clark County, that's about 22 to 23 people. I do think that's important to point out. Counselors, you must include these entities in any statement you move forward with today. They're actively participating. These are violent, cruel, deeply un-American actions. They're assisting with the surveillance of law-abiding citizens, targeting activists, and attempting to silence the will of the people. You have to go further than a performative statement, and I'll be back to talk to you about that when the time comes. We cannot allow the opportunity for FBI contracts to be used by the alphabet soup of entities that they are partnering with. I've heard counselors state their dedication to public safety, to well-trained officers, and the support of folks who keep our community safe. And I agree with all those sentiments, but that's not what we're witnessing now. When will you listen to your constituents and value our voices? Where does our safety sit in relation to your desire to preserve a favor that the county is doing for the FBI and ATF, and now by proxy, ICE, DHS, and CBP? I know there's a lot of emotion in here today, and I'm really grateful for everyone in this room who showed up. There's a lot of fear going on in our community right now, and I feel that, but I also know that on the other side of that fear is a love for the immigrants and the people who make this community great, because they're worth fighting for. Thank you.
Thank you.
Janet Hedgepath?
Good afternoon, Chair, council members. I really urge you to make your statement strong. Make it so that it protects our immigrant community, our civil liberties, and our public state safety. The statement should include an assertion that county resources and county property will not be used to support or assist unchecked, lawless, militarized immigration enforcement. What we're really talking about here is our values. What do we really value? Do we really believe in our democratic values, or do we want to go ahead and allow fascist values? If we believe in our democratic values, that all people deserve protection from government violence and protection from trampling of our civil rights, then we'll have a strong statement. And this statement will support democracy and protect our constitutional rights. And just on a quick aside, more women are killed by white males 18 to 25 than immigrants.
Okay, please keep your applause. Next person.
Gary Wilson. Gary Wilson. Sarah Newhouse.
Good afternoon, Council. My name is Sarah Newhouse, and I'm here for Agenda Item 5.2. I'm speaking for myself today. A statement of the nature that you're talking about feels long overdue and will be absolutely toothless if there is no mention of the other federal agencies involved to support ICE's activities across this country. Specifically, the NSPM 7 directive that demands full support of federal agencies, including the FBI, to support ICE's agenda, which has included violence, unlawful detentions, and abandonment of due process. It feels like stating the ridiculously obvious at this point. But in my community, I have witnessed community members going up to leaders, going up to law enforcement officials, and asking them about some of the things that we have been witnessing. And they have been met with blank stares, as though folks don't know what's going on. And that is incredibly disheartening to our community members. So let me speak with incredibly plain speech. Our community, citizens and non-citizens, are living in fear of the actions being taken by the federal government. And this statement that you're talking about feels like the bare minimum of what we can be doing to address these concerns. What is incredibly related is the contract that you've asked us not to speak about today. So we will be back to have that conversation. So please write this statement. May these words be a full-throated response to the violence that we are witnessing with actionable steps. May one of those steps be to serve your constituents and not move forward with this contract with the FBI. We'll see you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gary. Doug Morgan. Doug Morgan. Margot Logan. Janetta Lorette. Vanetta Lorette, sorry.
Hi, I'm Vanetta Leray and I live in Vancouver. I don't know if there's any more that I can say that everyone here hasn't already said or wants to say. FBI does not belong in Bonneville. FBI is a part of ICE. They support ICE. ICE are terrorists. ICE are murderers. We don't want them in our community. They've already done harm to citizens here. I recall a man who was attacked by ICE and they allowed one of their dogs to bite him and bring him down. They're not interested in people who are criminal. They're not interested in taking people out of the community that are going to do harm. They're interested in taking all of us out. White, black, brown, doesn't matter. Do you want that in your community? This is fascism. This is fascism. This is fascism. And it's here. It's not something that we're wondering about anymore, speculating. It's here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Patrick Yun.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Patrick Yoon. I am a resident here at Vancouver, Washington. I'm here to speak on item 5.2 of the new business. I would just like to urge the council to make a stronger statement than the statement they made on January 20th. In that statement, you guys had said that you guys formally denounced the actions of federal immigration enforcement agencies and affiliated law enforcement operating under the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. This new upcoming statement on immigration needs to also strongly condemn the actions of any government agencies, such as the FBI, supporting ICE. The second point I would like to bring up on the new immigration statement the council is about to make, I would also strongly urge the council to, when making this statement, to reinforce the previously made statement stating, nor will city property be used for federal enforcement staging or operations. Due to the close ties that the FBI has with ICE, a strong example of allowing Camp Bonneville to be used for FBI training would find a face of this new statement and the previous statement the council has made. I urge you, when making this new statement, to make it actionable and to keep yourselves accountable and to serve the community that you are elected to serve. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Kim Sterling.
Good afternoon. My name is Kim Sterling, and I am a resident of Vancouver for 10 years now. I'm here to talk about not just the policies, but to ask you to honor the people who those policies were written to protect. We're talking about 5.2 and making a statement because this city recognizes that immigrant residents are a part of our community, deserve dignity, safety, and trust. But when ICE uses our public spaces, that trust disappears overnight. Most people don't know that this is even something to worry about. And then when they do, that fear takes its place. Families stop going to parks, parents keep their children inside, neighbors who once felt welcome to begin to feel watched. Our parks and community spaces exist to support the health, joy, and belonging, and it's a neutral ground. Spaces where people can breathe, gather, and feel human. When immigration enforcement enters those spaces, they stop being parks and they become symbols of danger. What I want to say is that when you need a law or when you need a religion in order to have a conscience or a moral in making a decision, that speaks about who you are. Because for me, I don't need a sky daddy or a congressman telling me not to murder people for me to know that that is not acceptable. So I would just like for you to think for a second about what are morals that are ingrained in you and what do you feel like you force yourself to do just because.
Thank you. Your time is up.
You're told
Thanks.
so.
Rima Kasawinch.
I'll just introduce myself as I was speaking, coming up. Okay. First, speak on 522. I would like to request 10 seconds of silence and reflect on the brutal murder of innocent ICU VA nurse Alex Paredes, shot 10 times by 2 federal agents this past Saturday. Thank you. On this somber note, I highlight the fact that ICE does not operate independently. Rather, it receives enormous participation from the FBI, as reported on Federal Newswire on June 16, 2025. FBI announces full immigration support for ICE immigration enforcement, which includes embedding the FBI agents with ICE arrest missions and more. And further, on 10/19/25, 1/4 of FBI agents have been reassigned to ICE duties. For this reason, you must include condemnation of FBI in any statement issued concerning the actions of federal agencies enforcing Trump's immigration policies. Further, you must also acknowledge in any statement that FBI is targeting people who oppose ICE's violent and murderous actions via the NSPM-7 issued on 9/25/25. And when the president was asked about if summary execution of people on this list, he remained silent. And as we have heard in the last few shootings by ICE federal agents, the excuse given that these people was killed or injured was domestic terrorists. Thanks to quick thinking citizens, videos show who are the actual domestic terrorists. And those are not Renee Good or Alex Preddy, but rather individuals with 3-letter acronyms. Finally, Councilor Young, FBI presence on Camp Bonneville does not make it safer in Vancouver, rather endangers our lives. Over 12,000 ammo was stolen, and it took 7.5 months for you guys to reveal it. And let us not forget Jose Pereguega Calderon, who was run over by federal officers on 12/4/2025 on 4th Avenue. On just January 9th, 2026, the Vancouver police announced that they had to suspend the investigation because federal officials are not sharing the information. So I ask you to be on the right side of history. We send the FBI.
Thank you for your comments.
Sabrina Hall.
Good afternoon. My name is Sabrina Hall, and I am speaking today as a resident of Vancouver, Clark County. As many folks here, I'm here regarding item 5.2. A statement of solidarity for our immigrant and non-white neighbors, a statement that condemns the illegal and inhumane actions of ICE and DHS, is the tiniest, babiest, smallest of steps Clark County can take towards protecting our human rights. But it is a step that must be taken. Any statement of immigration support must include a denouncement of all federal agencies complicit in this terror campaign. The NSPM-7 directive requires these federal agencies, such as the FBI, to aid ICE and DHS. These agencies are directly harming our county's immigrants, our citizens, and are degrading our free speech and human rights. These things must be condemned in their entirety, not a half-assed statement that ignores these realities. While a pro-immigration statement is a step, words are wind. Meaningful results can only come from meaningful action. At this point in my speech, I wanted to discuss Camp Bonneville. But to stay on topic, I will say that this statement is the absolute least this council can do. I urge this council to take the opportunity to be on the right side of history, to release a statement supporting immigration in our community, but to not stop there. You must deny these federal agencies the opportunity to terrorize Clark County, our county. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alondra Abrego. Tanya, oh, sorry. Oh, Tanya Anger. Caitlin Marshall.
Carmen, you need to keep your voice down.
Hello, my name is Caitlin Marshall, and I am a resident of Vancouver. I am also a green card holding immigrant. I may not look like one to many of you, and I think that's the problem that we're all seeing in this country. I'm also speaking about the immigration statement. We obviously have a serious problem with immigration in this country. People on both sides of the argument can agree on that. I personally believe how we're dealing with it in this country is atrocious. But to speak to some of the friends in here and our neighbors that have problems with both, what I want is Clark County to make an official statement that ICE is going against our Constitution. That is something everyone can agree with. Oppression anywhere is oppression everywhere. So anybody who's being oppressed by this current administration, that is like an apple that will rot. It will rot through to folks that are green card holders like myself, and then it will go to US citizens that are trying to stand against this. So, like I said, I would really urge the Clark County Council to make a statement that not only condemns ICE, but also any of the organizations that support ICE. Many of those work within Clark County. That includes the FBI. As was mentioned before, the FBI is the organization that will investigate any crimes that ICE commits against the citizens here in Clark County. They are collaborating with ICE. The FBI investigator itself that was investigating Alex Preddy's death in Minneapolis has resigned because of how the FBI is treating its own investigators. So I urge you once again to make a statement against ICE, but also against the collaborators that work within our current government to help them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else in the room who didn't sign up who would like to speak? Teresa?
My name is Teresa Hardy, and I'm speaking to the immigration statement. If you previous counselors, now is not the time for strongly worded letters without meaningful action. Even if you previously supported the FBI, the evidence now is irrefutable. The FBI is deeply compromised and completely embedded in the missions of ICE and CPB. I'm not going to go on with the middle part of what I prepared because look around the room. Those of us who come to council meetings, we know that oftentimes there's 2, 3, 4, 5 people here. Look around the room. When was the last time we saw this many people? We saw this for the comp plan. Alternative, what are we going to choose for alternatives? How many people? We filled up 2 rooms. Look at the number of people here today. Who are you listening to? What kind of action are you going to take? You do not want to hear claps. You do not want to hear people say anything, but the speakers have been powerful. They have hit their message has hit our hearts. You need to be listening. The Clark County must include the FBI in any statement about the actions of federal agencies because they are active ICE and CPB collaborators. Finally, the Clark County must go further than a performance statement and to act. The council must rescind the county's support for the FBI use of our public property, Camp Bonneville, and explore other means in which it can protect us and produce safety to the residents of Clark County. We have not had this many people come out and say what we want and what we need in Clark County and what law enforcement are we going to have where. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else in the room? Okay, there's a few people.
The gentleman with the mask, he had his hand up last time.
Hello, I'm JJ, Vancouver resident. Council, it's no secret that ICE has been terrorizing communities all across the country. These masked armed agents have chased down innocent people in their places of work, car washes, farms, even outside of Home Depots. People aren't even safe in their homes. Entire apartment complexes have been raided with innocent people dragged out of their homes in the middle of the night and even children being zip-tied together for hours at a time during these raids. Often even documented citizens are being targeted for the color of their skin, and regardless of the color of our skin, it's been made clear that no one is safe from the havoc they're wreaking. Renee Good and Alex Preddy are 2 individuals who were shot dead by ICE agents this month in Minneapolis, Minnesota, as thousands of agents have swarmed the city. Last year has also been ICE's deadliest year by death of captured individual in custody in 2 decades, with 32 recorded deaths in custody since the beginning of 2025. On Clark County's public lands, Camp Bonneville, the FBI has been, Portland bureaus of the FBI has been illegally allowed to train there on the 4,000 property, and more than a performative statement condemning the actions of agencies tied to ICE needs to be made by the council. Taken a step further, the Clark County City Council must rescind the county's support for FBI use of our public property since it actively rewards and enables collaboration with ICE. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's some more hands. Lady in the plaid shirt. Red plaid shirt.
Everybody will get a turn.
Deborah Taylor for the record. I was just wondering why we didn't say the Pledge of Allegiance when we began this meeting. Everybody is here for, listening to each other, our rights, our constitutional rights, and I think it's very important that we say that at every meeting. Could we please say it? Could we all stand and say it?
We never say the Pledge of Allegiance at council time.
I thought that we did at the
No,
meeting.
at our council meetings that we
Oh,
have
council
on the
meetings.
first
Okay. I
and third
apologize.
Tuesday.
I apologize. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, you come.
Hi, my name is Val Paulson. I'm a lifelong member of the Vancouver community. I have a granddaughter who lives in Minneapolis. She lives within a mile of where Mr. Preddy was killed. And my family hates guns, but she and her partner are now wanting to get guns because they do not feel safe. The problem with ICE, and by default also other government agencies, is when you invite them into your community, what happens is the other citizens in the community that are maybe not the intended victims become so afraid that they feel they need to protect themselves from our federal government. People are losing their trust in the government, and because of it, taking actions that they would not ordinarily take. Any statement that you make regarding ICE coming into the community or support of immigrants, it needs to be strong. We cannot allow these people coming into our community and in default creating problems that didn't exist before they came. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Good afternoon. My name's Ryan Hoger. I'm a resident of Vancouver. And I wanted to just speak for a moment. I think I have my own opinions about immigration specifically and what we as a nation should or shouldn't be doing about immigrants. But I honestly think you can more or less take that whole discussion and set it to the side when it comes to ICE, because what we actually have is a group of masked, armed thugs with no particular oversight invading cities and murdering citizens and non-citizens alike. Immigration and your opinions on that, honestly, I think is an entirely different conversation. I'm a tugboat master and master of towing, and I work on the East Coast wind farms. And just as a general idea of how willing this federal administration has been to weaponize unrelated policies to accomplish whatever goals they happen to have, our multi-billion-dollar wind farm project has been shut down for 2 months over the last year for no particular reason. The administration just comes up with an excuse and revokes our permits. By the time it goes through the courts, it just gets knocked down again and we go back to work. It's cost hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars to this project. That's all American union jobs because I guess Donald Trump doesn't like wind farms and wants to put pressure on Denmark. So I would say any illusions that we may have that the federal government is going to deal fairly and honestly with whatever policies they say they're going to apply regarding putting people in Camp Bonneville, putting people in detention centers, sending ICE into cities, you can fairly safely ignore that assurance. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I'm going to do my best to stay composed, but my name is Haven Davis, and I work in social work actually in the community, and I live in Washougal, so District 17, I believe. I just want to thank everybody in the room for speaking out against ICE and being here today, because it takes a lot of courage to take time away from your lives and to do so. I'm here to speak on 5.2. I agree that the statement seems performative and it needs to become actionable. If you're genuinely serious about keeping the immigrants in our county and in our country safe, then there needs to be action behind the words that you say. I'd also like to remind everybody that we are all immigrants. Unless you are Native American, you are not indigenous to this land. And the way that ICE is treating immigrants of any kind is atrocious. This administration is disgraceful. And to limit yourself to just words is embarrassing. I think that if you are all set on, keeping your community safe and speaking for the people as you state that you are as a council, then you need to be listening to everybody in this room. I hope that you really do, and I hope you understand how much that this community does not want ICE here. We do not want the FBI to be collaborating with ICE, and we do not want them on the Bonneville land. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Rob Anderson.
Greetings, councilors. Rob Anderson here. As you consider an immigration-related resolution, particularly if it's similar to Vancouver's, I offer several concerns for your consideration. First, we share common ground. I don't want families living in fear, children traumatized, or residents hesitant to call 911 or report crimes. Public safety depends on trust, clarity, and lawful authority. I'm deeply saddened by preventable loss of life and its lasting toll on victims, families, and officers. However, resolutions like Vancouver's, and if the county follows suit, risk framing federal law enforcement itself as a local public safety crisis. We've seen this recently in Minneapolis. Agitators interfering in federal operations contributed to fatal outcomes, many encouraged by elected officials. So your resolutions in words matter and can have tragic consequences. Consider after Vancouver's resolution, the police chief had to put out a video publicly begging residents to stop interfering with unrelated criminal warrant executions, creating confusion that's not theoretical, but real and dangerous. Before putting all the blame on federal policies, you must look in the mirror and see that your blanket non-cooperation or sanctuary policies don't eliminate enforcement. They displace it from controlled settings like jails to neighborhoods, increasing instability and harm. You and state policies are enabling the conflict, and maybe that's what some of you want. Finally, each of you swore an oath to uphold the Constitution, including the Supremacy Clause. Local governments cannot exempt themselves from lawful federal enforcement simply because they disagree with federal policy. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Okay, please do not call out. Let everyone have an opportunity to speak. Is there anyone else that wants to speak? Yes, go ahead. Okay, please, that's not helpful.
Hi, Steve Burkle. Regarding what Rob just said, if ICE would wear stuff just identifying themselves and not start putting on other organizations stuff to confuse everybody, then we wouldn't have that problem. But since ICE won't do that, we have a problem. The only reason the chief did that was because the ICE had been dressing up like police officers and other organizations. So that's the problem.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else like to speak? You already spoke, Carmen. Oh, online. Oh, I forgot about online. Go ahead.
Caller, you've been sent a request to unmute yourself. Please do so. State your name for the record and go ahead with your comments.
Hi, Wendy Cleveland. So I just wanted to say that I concur with David McDonald's statement on TDRs. speaking to that subject. TDRs remind me of wetland mitigation credits. The land, its critical habitats, are still lost forever. We must protect these lands and not just sell them out for a swap. The Dollars Corner land requested by the City of Battleground is critical habitat. Before you vote to allow TDR or even just allow Battlegrounds land grab, I would implore each one of you to do a site visit to each site before you approve them. Do not just trust the say of others on issues that will affect our community and its way of life for future generations. It's too important. I will follow up this statement with emails wherein which I offer to meet council members at their convenience at each of the city's site-specific requested areas. As for your declaration on ICE enforcement, I would just request that you make sure to include language that speaks to the responsibility and duty of our sheriff department to uphold state laws and their duty to arrest anyone, including federal agents, who break our laws. They are here to protect and serve our community, citizens and non-citizens alike. They're here to protect humans against any violence committed against us, no matter who is causing that violence. In closing, my favorite quote, unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. Dr. Seuss. You are welcome for my time.
Thank you.
Okay, some more callers. Caller, you've been sent a request to unmute yourself. Please do so. State your name for the record and go ahead.
Hi, I'm Kurt Justice, resident of District 4. I am also a 20-year veteran of the United States military. Regarding agenda item 5.2, I wanted to say during my time of service, I've deployed several times and been put in situations where I had to fall asleep to the sound of mortars. And that was just my life. And I've never been more scared than I am right now, because I have a government that if I went out to execute my First Amendment rights and a federal agent decided to brandish a gun against me, I would be labeled a terrorist. And that is the gratitude I would get for my 20 years of service. Here in Clark County, in Vancouver, we had a resident of this county get run over by ICE and detained. And when Vancouver PD tried to investigate that, they were cut out. They were not able to locate the agent, because the individual, because ICE would not tell them where that individual was. When they went to investigate Renee Good's murder, the FBI took over that investigation, and that resulted in several attorneys from the prosecutor's office, as well as the FBI agent involved, to resign because of the cover-up that was happening. And that is what is happening to our rights at the state level. And you, as Clark County representatives, should be concerned about your rights to represent us. And what I am asking is, because we are afraid, because our government is not backing us up, that you there, as a representatives, that we voted for you to represent us as Clark County residents, to prove that you were there for us, to support us and protect us, because this is what I fought for. This is what my friends died for. And you need to stand up and do your oath to support and defend and protect us. You need to do more than statements. You need to take action. Until the federal government, you are not welcome here as long as you do not keep Clark County residents safe.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, another caller. You've been sent a request to unmute yourself. Please go ahead and do that. State your name for the record and go ahead. Jim Byrne, can you try to unmute yourself? Star 6?
He's on a computer.
Oh.
Just hit his unmute button.
We're going to try somebody else. Caller, you've been sent a request to unmute yourself. Please state your name for the record and go ahead.
Hello, this is Annette Garner. I am a citizen of the United States and a resident of Camas. I am thinking about our history, and I hope the statement will reflect that. I am an immigrant on my maternal grandfather's side. He came over on the second Mayflower as an indentured servant and worked off his servitude and became a small business owner. On my grandmother's side, two brothers were conscripted out of the woods in Germany while they were cutting firewood, conscripted into the Hessian army. They came to the United States and escaped from the Hessian army and fought on the American Revolution side. My paternal grandfather came over from Scotland in the early 1800s and settled in the mountains of North Carolina. I am fortunate that I have these generations between them and me, and I have this safety that so many others do not. My son-in-law is first generation Peruvian. My daughter-in-law is second generation Mexican. They both have a skin color of which this current administration feels they could take off the street, and I'm concerned for their safety. They both have children and are productive members and citizens of this United States. So please, with your statement, be sure to reference back to our history. As one of the earlier speakers noted, many of us are not Native Americans. So I support our public safety officers in taking persons who have committed crimes off the street. And if proven, being sent to whatever country they had originated from without pursuing citizenship. Otherwise.
Thank you very much.
Okay, caller, you've been sent a request to unmute yourself. Please do so. State your name for the record and go ahead with your comments.
Hi.
Go ahead.
Okay, sorry. It looked like it remuted. My name is Gideon Faulkner. I just wanted to comment today to join the crowd of voices who are asking for a statement that is meaningful and impactful and backed by actions. Specifically, I want to reiterate the calls to include the FBI in your statement. These agencies that are collaborating with ICE are, like so many people have said, creating a sense of terror in our community and are doing a lot to bring us harm. And we need our counsel to stand for us. And I think the amount of people who showed up today to say that should hopefully show you guys how important this is to our community, despite the few fascists who have spoken in favor of ICE. Just reflect on how outnumbered they are and how many of our community members came out to support our immigrant neighbors and each other who are under threat, no matter the color of our skin at this point, from this terrorist organization. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, we have some more callers. Caller, you've been sent a request to unmute. Please do so. State your name for the record and go ahead with your comments.
Am I on?
Yes, you are.
Nurmi Hussa, and I'm Vancouver. All history is family history, and we are all family. My father's father, my grandfather, came here from Finland as a young man, an economic refugee. Times were tough, so he came here to connect with his older brother, a homesteader in North Dakota, who had arrived some 20 years earlier. He didn't speak a word of English, only Finnish. He met a Finnish-American girl born here, never really learned English because his wife and his children managed it. Whenever I see an older person who doesn't speak English, who struggles with it, whether they're from Mexico or Vietnam or Somalia, I see my grandfather. My mother's grandmother came from in England. She taught me, my mother, how to cook, and so I Cornish pasties I did. She married into a family that had been here since the middle of the 18th century. They came from what is now Germany. So I share a German heritage with the Donald, although his grandfather arrived here more than a century after my ancestors. I understand he was running away from the police for being a draft dodger. He immigrated here and opened up a brothel. Wherever he is, I'm sure he's very proud of his grandson, who was so proudly honored and carried on their family traditions. All history is family history, and we are all family. I guess that's why we all hate each other so much. do the right thing, not just say the right thing. Our ancestors, yours and mine, are watching. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to try Jim Byrne again. Jim, you've been sent a request to unmute yourself. Please do so and go ahead with your comments. Okay. We'll move on to another caller. You've been sent a request to unmute yourself. Please do that. State your name for the record and go ahead.
Kimberly Goheen Elvin, life citizen of Clark County, Washington, and a 6-year veteran. 4.2, council members must not become a PAC. 5.2, fascism started when criminal Biden opened our sovereign borders and talk about oppression. Arresting and deporting illegal immigrants has nothing to do with color of skin, unless you realize most, if not all, illegal immigrants here are of color, and shame on using the race card. It's not racist in the least, and why would any citizen of Clark County be so scared that ICE is here? Where were these scared citizens when 5 years ago, most large democratic cities were being destroyed and lives were lost then? God says over and over again, fear not. Maybe you're not godly. We, the people who voted for a president to actually protect us, is doing just that. Shame on fearmongers and get truly informed, I suggest. Did you fear when illegal immigrants killed our women or our child trafficking? These people are not part of our community. That's a fact. They are illegally here, and I do not feel safe with them here. So protect those of us that are legally here. By the way, Seattle has 13 illegal childcare buildings with no children. Go figure that one out too.
Please.
Democrats were okay to force wearing the mask until ICE agents did. I'll add that we, the people, suffered during the COVID pandemic when Clark County jab vans jabbed your high school students without parental consent. Maybe you should fear that. Where were the fearmongers then? And shame on those I can't wait for this sanctuary county to be held accountable. And if you work for the government, no wonder why you want to protect your job.
Okay, your time is up. Thank you. And please, in the audience, could you please be quiet when someone else is speaking? Okay, please be quiet. Please be quiet. Is there anyone else online?
I think we have one more person. Caller, you've been sent a request to unmute yourself. Please do that. State your name for the record and go ahead.
Hello, my name is Mackenzie Pfeiffer. I am a resident of Washougal, Washington, a lifelong resident here in Clark County. And I just wanted to start off with calling people ungodly for loving their neighbor as Jesus told us to is unacceptable from that previous caller. But additionally, we have a responsibility as people of this world to protect our people. An injury to one is an injury to all. And we have seen what has happened from the brutality of ICE, not only in Minnesota. I just this weekend with a group of other protesters got tear gassed for peacefully protesting and singing outside of the ICE facility in Portland. And they tear gassed the nurses union yesterday in Eugene for holding a vigil outside of the ICE facility in Eugene, Oregon. If you're tear gassing nurses at a vigil, you are on the wrong side of history, and we all know it. We need more than just a statement. We need actions from the government of Clark County. What are you going to do to protect all of the residents of Clark County? And that starts by keeping the federal government out of Camp Bonneville. It was promised that Camp Bonneville would be ecologically restored and become a green space for our community. That has not happened. And it should not be used as a training or headquarters facility for a violent paramilitary organization that is just thugs doing Trump's bidding. We all know they're the January 6th protesters, rioters that got pardoned, and they do not belong in our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll try Jim Byrne one more time.
Okay, well,
Hey, Jim, you've been sent a request on mute. Please do that and go ahead with your comments.
one more.
Hello, this is Carissa Hallstrom.
Yes,
Since
please go
last-
ahead.
You can hear me? Okay. Since last week, Alex Preddy was murdered by federal agents. Immediately, U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi started spinning lies about his murder and proudly reiterated, all of my federal agencies are coming in right now to support Homeland Security. We have DEA, we have ATF, and we have the FBI, of course. Kash Patel, the head of the FBI, affirmed that FBI was on the ground in Minneapolis to assist DHS and furthermore suggested that we no longer have First and Second Amendment rights. Additionally, alarming video of screaming children has emerged from the ICE detention facilities that have already been widely reported to be abusing and neglecting detainees to the point of death, which the FBI has been sent to guard. Another FBI employee has resigned after being blocked by his boss from investigating the ICE agent who killed Renee Good. Remember, the FBI has now opened an inquiry into the dead victim's affiliation with activist groups instead of investigating her killer. The Clark County Council must include the FBI in any statement condemning the actions of federal agencies because they are active ICE and CBP collaborators. This is irrefutable. You've been sent all of the information. You cannot pretend that you have not seen it. The Clark County Council must also acknowledge in any such statement that the FBI is targeting activists who oppose ICE's violent and murderous immigration actions via the NSPM 7 directive. Finally, the Clark County Council must go further than a performative statement and act. The council must rescind the county support for FBI use of our public property, Camp Bonneville, and explore other means in which it can protect us from federal tyranny. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. All right, so that concludes public comment. And just a note to the public who's still here, we have some business to get through before we get to 5.2. You're welcome to stick around and listen to us deliberate on that. But it might take a bit of time before we get there. So moving on to old business, minutes of January 21st, 2026. Are there any corrections?
I'll move approval. Second.
Moved and seconded. Thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Rules of procedure. I think we've all gotten a copy of some potential changes that we just touched on last week, but this is the week that if we want to adopt any of these changes, we can begin to do this, and this will be subject to a public hearing ultimately. Okay, Kathleen, would you like to walk us through this?
Sure. So these changes were discussed at council time last week, except for a couple tweaks just for getting ready for the public hearing. So on that first page on the amendments, I just updated the year 2026 and the reference for the last ordinance that council approved. And then if you actually get into the rules of procedure, and I don't know if we want to go page by page to see if counselors have any updates that are not incorporated in this week's discussion.
I think it'd be great to go page by page.
Okay, so
I have something on page 5.
There you go.
Okay, under 3B, it says, in general, Robert's Rules of Order will be followed. I would like to remove the in general. I think it sounds vague to say in general if it's Robert's Rules or it isn't Robert's Rules.
Counselor, this is Chris Cook, Chief Deputy, Civil Deputy. There we go, Prosecuting Attorney. And I believe that the in general is there because the truth is that almost no group follows Robert's Rules of Order to the letter. It is a really long, really detailed book that was written a long time ago. And some of the provisions in it would, I think, be surprising to you. So the chair presides within the context of Robert's Rules of Order as applicable, is the way that I read that.
Okay, but if there's a question about how it's being applied, what do we fall back on?
Sometimes we fall back on Robert's Rules of Orders and sometimes we don't. For example, when you all are discussing or deliberating on a motion, I think if you look at Robert's Rules of Order, it says each person gets to speak twice. That's not the custom here. The custom here is that if someone wishes to ask another question or make another comment, they're generally permitted to do so.
But if there's a question, for example, on reconsidering something, that I think we need to have some precise rules on what to follow.
And I agree. It's annoying when and leads to questions when things are not precise. But nobody that I know of has the time or motivation to go through Robert's Rules of Order page by page and say which line is going to be followed and which line isn't. But however that may be, this is your decision, not mine.
I think when in doubt, I think we have to have something clear to fall back on. Other thoughts from counselors?
Chair. So I do agree with you. I think in general just says we can follow it whenever we want to. And I think maybe what we should say is, you know, unless there is other direction, such as in our rules of procedure, that we do follow Robert's Rules of Order. And anybody at any time, if they are really good at Robert's Rules of Orders, they could bring up an issue and it can be addressed at that time. But I do think there has to be some clarity. I mean, you can't just go on a whim, if you say.
Sure.
Yes, go ahead.
I'm okay with keeping it as in general.
I am as well.
Counselor Fuentes?
I support it.
And so, Counselor Young, is there other language that you'd propose besides just dropping in general? Or a qualifier related to following Robert's rules?
I would just say, unless otherwise specified in our rules of procedures, that we follow Robert's Rules of Order. And the reason I think this is important, and I'll just bring up an example of a time in the past where I had what I felt like was important information to share. I had the floor and I was deliberately cut off by the chair. And that does not belong. That is not proper according to rules or the Robert's Rules of Order. And so the question then becomes, if we are saying just in general that we're following Robert's Rules of Orders, then what did the council as a whole have the opportunity to make sure that the chair is staying in line? So I think it is important that we don't have a vague statement like in general.
So it sounds like there's 3 of us that are in agreement.
I see to
Then-
make sure that there's 3
Unless otherwise specified.
in the rules of procedure.
Correct.
I'm a
Okay.
thumbs up on that.
So am I.
and
Okay.
There's 3 of us
Okay,
on
I'll
that.
include that in the next round. And I just wanted to call out, I can see that order says ordered, so I'll fix that typo in there as well.
Okay. Next page, page 6. You can see there's some
Yes, so this was based on last week's council discussion under chair and vice chair. So D was added to state that the council may remove its members from boards and commissions with a simple majority vote. And then the new E is the council may direct an individual counselor appointed to a board and commission how to vote on specific policy items with a simple majority vote.
Okay, discussion on these two items?
Chair.
Yes, please go ahead, Councilor Belcott.
I've asked before in the past how this is legal as it does not align with the charter. There's nothing that was ever mentioned. We didn't have this language in our rules and procedures in the past. How is this legal?
Does this conflict with the charter?
I don't believe the charter is, I think it's silent on removal of counselors, but it is consistent with how council appoints. But I believe it's silent on removal.
Well, in the charter, it talks about the county manager having authority for
That's
With
appointments.
respect, Counselor, that's not about the outside boards and commissions.
Yeah, there's I think there needs to be clarity. There's two sections. The one that the county manager's reference is for our county boards and commissions that go to council for ratification. There is a separate section in the charter where it specifies the council itself will appoint itself to their boards and commissions. So that's, there is two different distinctions in there.
Right.
This is why you go through that exercise at the beginning of every year that takes a fair amount of time because there are an awful lot of outside boards and commissions going, who's going to be the representative, who's going to be the alternate, so forth. That's done by the council. That's not done by the county manager.
So I would like to make a couple of comments. What would even be the point of any of you being elected if we're all supposed to think, take, lockstep vote? That has never been, that's never been the county council. And if that's the way it's going to be, I'd also like to add some language that board members can be removed if they're convicted of a crime.
Okay, just related to that one, is there anyone else that would support that?
No, it sounds like a pretty low bar if you ask me.
So if anybody is convicted of a crime, you're completely fine with them staying on boards and
No,
committees.
as a matter of fact, I'm not. And we would elect to take our authority and remove the counselor in that specific situation. That is what this draft language gives us authority to do.
But there is no, it's not definitive. It's not talking about a crime. It's talking about if you don't like the way that someone votes, then you will remove them. What is the point of you ever even having a voice to vote?
What is the point of us deliberating and coming up with a position of majority of us on any particular item? There are situations where we make decisions, a majority of that represents the council's position, and it takes a majority of us to make that position.
Not all the time. And it was mentioned last time that this was discussed. That means, so are you going to appoint counselors to more boards and committees to watch other counselors on how they vote to make sure that we are a collective voice on every board and committee? And obviously this is all stemming from you all removing me from CTRAN. Let's be real here.
Yes, and there was a number of hours of deliberation, and the context for that was that we were coming up with a collective position to inform those counselors that served on the CTRAN board of how to vote. It was clear, meeting after meeting, that that's what we were doing.
No, it wasn't. And the agenda was not amended properly per Robert's rules, which my attorney has brought up on several occasions, which is also a part of the problem.
Okay, well, related to the recommended or the revised D and E, are there other counselors who want to weigh in on this?
Chair?
Yes.
I just have a question about the specific wording. So the council may remove its members from boards and commissions with a simple majority vote. Are we this, because it's not specifying exactly which boards and commissions. So is this talking about the Planning Commission, the Parks Advisory Commission, or is this only positions which council hold a seat on? I think it just needs a little bit more in the language there.
I would agree with that.
So just to be clear, what we're clarifying here is that the council may remove members from external boards and commissions, not internal. So like Planning Commission, Advisory, Agriculture Advisory, is that correct?
Yeah, they have a
Okay.
different
Got
process
it.
for being appointed.
Thank you.
Well, I
With
think
external,
I think its members that's the intention of that, but I think it could be used another way. It's members, like members of other boards and commissions. So I might suggest like the council may remove any counselor from boards and commissions with a simple majority vote.
Or you could
Oh.
say any counselor who was appointed to the boards and commissions by the entire council. So you are that way connecting the power to appoint to the power to remove.
Thank you. That provides clarity.
But that doesn't align with the charter.
well, the charter is silent on this. Okay,
Sure.
yes, go ahead.
I'm not sure I never thought we needed to have specific language. If you look at C, it says the council will vote to appoint its members to serve on boards and commissions. I thought that implied that you can also remove.
We've never
and
removed
that's what-
anyone from any boards or commissions ever, except for you all removing me from CTRAN. You
I
made
think that-
history.
I think the assumption is that because we have the power to appoint, we have the power to remove, but D would make that clear.
Yeah, I thought it was already clear. Chris, did you have something to add?
No, I agree that that is the way it should be construed, but clarity is sometimes very useful.
So my question is, are we going to be babysat every board and commission that we're appointed to make sure that, how is this going to be monitored?
I think the language in the following sentence says what takes place. If there is a collective decision of the council that specifies how one of our counselors who sits on a board is to vote on a specific item, they need to do that. If there is no collective decision process that takes place, they're free to vote how they deem fit. That is why we choose our counselors to sit on our boards and commissions. And I would add to this, Councilor Belcott, I think it's important because I think we all know that there are specific boards and committees that have different levels of influence and things in the community. And when I look at appointing counselors to our boards and commissions, I want everybody to have a chance to be on all of those influential boards. But when they're going to go and just do whatever they want to do, then I think carefully, and I will specifically restrict people from being on those boards and commissions if I'm concerned about that. When we're talking about assigning the boards and commissions at the beginning of the year.
Which has never been done in the past. So you want to control people, and you also don't align with your constituents who clearly have voted against light rail on and off for over a decade. And I will say, Chair Marshall, I'm very surprised with your involvement with trying to protect land and property. That, I mean, there are lots of studies related to the environmental impact that light rail has. I think, well, I
Chair
know
of
the
the board,
majority.
we're not
I
here
think
to
we need
discuss
to
light rail or
Stick to
C-Tran.
the rules and procedures. Thank you, Councillor Young. So, is there further discussion? Are people ready to, I think D and E in my mind go together. I'd be supportive of them with the clarification on language.
I support him as well with the clarification on the language.
Is there a third?
How are we proceeding here? Are we voting on this?
No, you're just giving further direction for me, and then I will go back, type up the changes that council talks about, bring it back next week until council is comfortable to bring it to a public hearing.
Okay.
But ultimately it goes to a public hearing and then we'll
Right.
hear from the public.
That's what I was asking about. Yeah, I think this new D, I don't believe it's necessary. I think E is helpful if it's according to how Councilor Young mentioned it, where we have complete freedom to vote or make decisions on commission meetings as things come up, like I would on like the fish recovery board. But if I ask for an opinion for an upcoming vote and the council votes in majority, I would take that as I am the representative of the council. And likewise, if there is an important vote that our representative needed to represent the majority, I would support that too. So if we have to clarify that, but I don't think this locks in a counselor on a commission to have to check with the council on every single decision of every single minute of every meeting. So.
Thank you. So was that a thumbs up or?
I'm a partial thumbs up, so I guess I would, if you're voting on both of them, I'm a thumbs down
Which one would you be supportive of?
of the new E.
The new E. Okay. So I think we
I didn't
have
think D was necessary.
4 for E. And what about D? I'm a thumbs up on.
I'm thumbs up.
Okay, so there's 3, so that can move forward. Okay, I think we're moving on to the next page. We did some rearranging of the agenda. That will start with the Pledge of Allegiance, the invocation, and then, and that would be before any proclamations or resolutions. Does that look okay to folks? Counselor Belcott?
I have a question. Why are we moving it to the beginning? Is it still televised on CBTV?
It'll all be televised. I think some people have raised concerns that we should do the Pledge of Allegiance and fully start the meeting before we do the proclamation. So it's just rearranging the order of that. All of the things remain. And it'll
Okay.
all be on CBTV.
Okay.
And just to note, there was the one other change about open public comment that would come before the public hearings, where now it is after the public hearings, but before consent and separate business.
Right, so that people could have an earlier, not have to sit through public hearings. Sometimes there's multiple public hearings. Make it more convenient for the public.
Support that.
Thumbs up on this?
And I'll just note on here, it is added as the little VIIX or number 9 will be deleted because that moved up. So just want to note that.
Right, thank you. Okay, anything on page 6 or page 8? Okay, page 9, I had requested to keep, as I'm instructing the public on keeping their comments civil, so I like this shortened language very much. So I'd be
Supportive.
supportive of that. Others?
The one thing that I would maybe add to that is that the chair is essentially the what's the word? I'm not thinking the right word, but the chair is the one to make the call on.
We did have on the prior language, that's the chair, the vice chair, or their designee may also ask the person.
You know, I'd like to keep that language because sometimes I've appreciated when other council members call for a point of order. Councilor Belcott, you have any comments on this one?
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry. I have a terrible cold and I couldn't quite hear. Sorry.
Sorry. Well, I don't know if you're able to follow along on page 9. It's reducing the instructions that I might give to the public when they're making public comments. And it used to have as far as making like points of order or directing the public when they're, straying off the directions, that others on the council can make that call as well.
Yes, I'm fine with that.
Okay. So page 10, I think there was the continuation of all that language, and then there's a Q.
Yes, this was taken from the business process that council adopted late last year about amending council time agenda. So it's just talking about the removal of items where any councilor or the county manager can ask if there are any objections, and the council will vote on the requested action. And then adding items, any councilor or the county manager may ask the council to add an item. Any additions to the agenda must be time sensitive in nature, whereby it cannot wait until the next council time meeting. Again, the chair would ask if there's any objections, and if there are, then the requested action, council will vote. If the council declines with that vote, the requested agenda item, then the requester can move forward in accordance with section 7P, which is a counselor plus one can add stuff to the council time agenda.
Any comments on this?
Yeah, I have a question about it. I just was thinking on the removal part, say counselor removed an item from the agenda, but a whole bunch of people showed up to speak on that item. I wonder if we should add a provision here that the people can still speak on that item.
That's a very good point. And in practice, we've done that, and it would be good to just put that in there to clarify that.
Yeah, because it would be, if we don't, it would be terrible to send people home if they put their time into being here.
Right, especially if it's been a posted agenda. Okay, so this was something that was added that in practice we've been using for the last few months. I think it's good because it enables the council not to be caught off guard with a surprise item, and it allows time for something to be put on the agenda and publicized so the public has that information and can provide comments if they like. Are there? Yes, go ahead. Councilor
Is there
Belkat.
is there a timeline associated with that? Was it an emergency? I think that you mentioned.
Yeah, it's if it's time sensitive in nature, whereby it cannot wait until the next scheduled council time meeting. So for example, you're in legislative session and you find out Wednesday that they want feedback by Friday. You don't have another meeting before Friday. So that is time sensitive in nature. If it could wait till the next Wednesday, then it would not be time sensitive.
Right, and we would make those decisions collectively as a council when any issue came up, whether or not it was time sensitive. Go ahead.
The only thing I would add is in 2, there's a missing R. So the chair will ask if there are any objections.
Are any? Good job. Okay, are there thumbs up for this section? Councilor Belkat, you okay?
I'm a thumbs down on this.
Okay. But we have a majority to move it forward. Anything on 11? 12? 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, and then we move on to Code of Professional Conduct. Does anyone have anything in Code of Professional Conduct that they would like to change besides the date?
Kathleen, was there anything that we had conversations about with this section during the year? I don't recall. No? Okay.
Okay, I feel like we've gotten through that pretty quick.
Okay, so I'll make a couple changes that you guys noted today, bring it back next week just for one more look. And again, this isn't all inclusive, so if council thinks of something before next week, that's fine, and we can incorporate that and move forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. And thank you, Kathleen, for keeping track of these things throughout the year. Okay, moving on to new business 5.1 Black History Month proclamation. Jordan.
Good afternoon, councilors. For the record, Jordan Bogie, Senior Policy Analyst. As you know, it's almost February, and so presenting to council again a proclamation for Black History Month that council has traditionally done. 2026, the theme is a century of Black history commemorations, as it has been since 1926, that there have been national celebrations of what originally was Black History Week and is now become Black History Month. And so I've talked to Larry Nelson, president of the Vancouver NAACP. He is supportive of this proclamation, and if council is also supportive, we would read this at the February 3rd council meeting. And so would be interested if council is supportive, who might be interested in reading this as well.
I think thumbs up on this proclamation. And would someone like to volunteer to read it?
Question before that. Are we proclaiming just this February or all Februarys in the future?
We'll take it a February at a time.
Is that
I
how we
think.
usually do it? 1 year?
Yes.
Okay. I'm in support.
I read it last year, but if anybody else.
I'd be happy to read
Okay,
it.
there you go.
And NAACP, I believe, will be accepting. Okay.
Yeah, I believe.
All right. So then that takes us to 5.2. And so this is a discussion on whether or not to have a statement. And when I suggested this last week, it was not so much on immigration itself, but on the community's concern related to ICE enforcement. And I think some misinformation about what the county's role is or is doing related to the our local police enforcement and the jail. So initially I was hoping to clarify, have a statement that would clarify what our role is. But we've heard a lot from the public, and I know there's strong feelings about this, and with every day it becomes more of an imperative. So I just open it up for the council. What would you like to see in a statement? And I do agree with those who are saying actions are really more meaningful than just a statement. But I think, awareness of what the county's role is and what we can do, what we might not be able to do, could be helpful as well. Your thoughts?
Sure. Well, first of all, I want to thank everybody that showed up to testify about their opposition of ICE terrorizing our community members in the city of Vancouver and across our county. As a brown person, I feel it every day. Every single day I leave my house and I'm scared. I am terrified. I am a U.S. citizen, but that's not going to stop ICE from profiling me and stopping me and questioning me and potentially running me over with their vehicle. These are the things that I think of every day, the things that I think about my community that I work with along the Fourth Plain Corridor, which for the last 12 months has been targeted by ICE agents. They have dragged people out of their homes, whether or not they're U.S. citizens or undocumented. And this needs to stop. I don't know how we can stop ICE from coming into our communities. We don't have the power to do that. We have the power to condemn it. We have the power to encourage our local law enforcement agencies to protect our community members. We have the power to report, to record, to share on social media what's happening. This concerns me every single waking moment of my life. I support 100% preventing ICE, preventing the FBI, and other law enforcement agencies that were designed, by the way, to protect our community, but they're not doing that, from using our resources and using our facilities and not using Camp Bonneville. I sympathize with every single one of you, especially people of color, because again, I know exactly how it feels. I've been here for 44 years of my life. I was brought here from a war-torn country when I was 4 years old. And I have never, ever felt scared of being in my own country.
Thank you very much. Other comments?
Chair.
Yes.
So I'm not sure exactly what we want to do with this. And I also want to say the same thing. I think everybody that came in here, including those with opposing viewpoints, I think it's important that we tolerate each other. And I think it's important that we understand that we as human beings are a product of our experience that we've had in our lifetime. And many of us have had much different experiences. And so we can't completely understand and comprehend what each other's values and beliefs and where they came from and how they were formed. So I really appreciate this is a very emotional issue, and I appreciate the restraint that was shown during the meeting that we had earlier when we had public testimony. It's hard to do that when you're so emotionally charged. So I'm frustrated because I'm not quite sure exactly what we can do. I mean, even more so than the city, like, there's federal laws, there's state laws, and we are obligated to follow those laws. And really the only enforcement arm that I'm aware of that could do anything about it would be the sheriff's office, and we don't control the duties that are undertaken in the sheriff's department. And I don't know that there is anything that they could or could not do in this instance, but there's a few things that I think are extremely important to bring up. And I think the number one thing that, regardless of what your viewpoint on this issue, I think everybody can understand the danger to our community with having people show up, jump out of a car or a van with weapons that are unidentified and have masks on. And as a bystander, if I'm in that situation, I don't know if I should intervene to save somebody's life because they're being human trafficked. I don't know. And that is a serious problem. I know that the state, I think, is working to some degree to how to address it. But I mean, this particular issue really puts on display the trouble that we have here. And it's like, who is in charge of who and whose laws trump whose? So I am all for making a statement and acknowledging the fear, the legitimate fear that people are experiencing in our community. We've had a few instances that have, fortunately, they've not escalated to the point as we've seen elsewhere in the country, but we have had a few incidents here locally. One including that affects us directly, people, or somebody being taken away from front of our courthouse. And when I was listening to all the individuals here, I have to honestly ask how many people didn't come here to testify because maybe somebody's waiting for them right outside the door, given the agenda item that we had. So this is a real concern of mine. I'm very supportive of Keep Washington Working Act, in that we do follow what we are required to do, but there are no community resources that are used to further the federal immigration policy. And I will say, and I do want to say this is, and the reason why this is such a hard, and I apologize for ranting on and on about this, but this is really unfortunate because I really do believe that the vast majority of people that are in law enforcement are good people and that are looking out for the best and the safety of all of our people. Now, of course, there's always going to be some exceptions to that rule. And I think there's going to be people that sit on the fence. And I think those people that have sat on the fence have been emboldened by current leadership. And not in a good way. So that being said, I really struggle to try to paint a picture that all of the people, and I think, I try to think of all things. I mean, imagine folks who have been employed maybe by ICE for their entire career, and they're looking out for the good of the community, and they're probably disgusted and appalled by what's happening. And now what do? Their entire career is in ICE. I don't know. I'm not in that situation. I don't have that dilemma. I don't have to make that decision. I'm grateful for that. But I just want to make sure that we recognize that people are people. We have an administration that, in my opinion, is out of control. I don't know how we can reel that back. I don't know. So I'll open it with that. I'm sure I'll have more thoughts, but I'm wanting to hear from you guys as well.
Right. I think the decision before us at a minimum, and I think people have pointed out just making a statement is a minimum thing that we can do. But I think for today, if there's direction from a majority of us to move something forward, and, as we've done statements in the past, we look to Jordan and we funnel our thoughts and points in the discussion we're having now. And I think that the input that we've received from the community about the fear and all of the impacts that the community is feeling, that we can, and the concern about the county being complicit in allowing our resources to be utilized for ICE would be, we could make a state. What we need to decide is whether or not we want to have any statement at all. Oh, Councilor Belcott, you got your hand up.
Chair, I guess my concern is that after the city of Vancouver made their statement, Police Chief Price came out and he made his own recorded statement. I don't know if any of you have saw that, but his officers were starting to get attacked by people maybe mistaking them for ICE. And so that has caused a lot of issue for them. I don't know if CCSO has experienced the same thing, but I guess that's my major concern, is that we would make things worse for our local law enforcement to do their jobs.
Thank you for that concern. I think one of the people who spoke mentioned that there's reports that ICE agents are dressing more like, to confuse people whether or not they're with the county or the city's police force. So that doesn't help. And just to be very clear, Sheriff Horsch, he's out in the community. He is talking to people. He works with LULAC. He works with NAACP. So I feel like he has been responsive and maybe behind the scenes in trying to address the community's concern. Councilor Little.
Yeah, thanks for all these thoughts, and thanks for everyone who came in. I'm also concerned about making it worse as well. But I feel like we should be doing something. The challenge here is, I don't know if everybody knows this, but we as county council, we're the legislative body of the county. If we were a county commission, we'd be the executive and the legislative. We are not in charge of the sheriff's office. It's an elected official separate from us. We don't tell them what to do or how to do law enforcement. We certainly have no jurisdiction over immigration or federal agencies. We don't use resolutions to call out state agencies. We don't call out politicians. We don't comment on how our federal congressional member does her job, her job, how our governor does, how Trump does, regardless of party. That's not how we use resolutions. I worry about not only the impact, the negative impact of a statement, but what would we practically be accomplishing with one? I feel like it's actually not something that would be helpful. So unless someone has an idea of something constructive that would come out of a statement. Originally, when we talked about this last week, I had proposed that we do a joint resolution statement with the sheriff's office and with the jail, because they are the experts on how the right way to do a law enforcement action, the wrong way. What are the rules surrounding when someone goes to jail? We aren't as the county council, so we thought a joint statement would be appropriate. As I understand, they have already made their statements and they would prefer not to do a joint statement with us. That leaves us alone. And again, we're the legislative branch of the county. We fund programs, fill potholes, we plan for growth in the community. We do fund the sheriff's office and the jail, but we don't do policy on how they do law enforcement, or certainly not immigration. So I'm in the same boat and I am worried about the negative implications that can happen, as some have possibly happened in Vancouver.
It's not clear to me that the statement that the city council adopted led to those things. It's not at all clear that it caused an effect on that. Well, I would be supportive of a statement. And then additionally, I know I talked to Dr. Melnick, and public health is concerned because of the fear and people being able to access medical care, really, and to access law enforcement when issues come up. There's just really so much fear it's unhealthy. So I'd like to include some statement related to that and the damage. I think even just listing all the damage from the brutish level of ICE enforcement that's been occurring would be worthwhile. So, Jordan, I don't know if you have enough.
Chair.
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I think the community has spoken. They want action, not just a performative statement. I think I don't necessarily wholeheartedly agree with some of my colleagues' statements that there's not a heck of a lot that we can do. It's absolutely true. We don't control the sheriff's department. We don't control federal agencies. But I believe we can take some action. And what I heard, a recurring theme is ensuring that when we make this statement, that this statement explicitly says that no county resources, including Camp Bonneville or county properties, are utilized by ICE or other federal agencies that support ICE activity. I think that's the least that we can include in this statement. And absolutely, we can condemn the actions of ICE in our community. They are hurting and killing our community members. We've seen it. We see it on social media on a regular basis. So yes, I think we can call these agencies out for the shit that they're doing. Pardon my language, folks. But sometimes I forget where I'm sitting. But I think that it is important that we make a bold statement, that we condemn their actions, and that we prevent them from utilizing our county resources. They belong to us, and they belong to Clark County residents.
Okay, watch that clapping. Other comments, Councillor Belcott?
I would be interested in making a joint statement, as Councillor Little mentioned, with the jail and CCSO.
Sure.
We can reach out to them again. Go ahead.
Couple things that I would add to this is, when I was originally thinking about this, I'm like, kind of, what can we do? I mean, it's federal and all this stuff, but realistically, between our role as council and our role as the Board of Health, the overall well-being of our community is of our concern and in our purview. And I think one of the issues that was pointed at I think is a critical issue is the fact that children may not be attending school because of this. So there is a local impact that I think that we should try to look at and see what we can do, what is within our purview to try to, again, look out for the well-being of the people that live in Clark County.
Okay, so I'm going to ask for thumbs up related to a statement, and that will go through a process. We'll work through Jordan to figure out the details of that and reach out to the health department, the jail, and the sheriff and get their input. So are there three of us at least that would like to do something in that regard?
Is that a statement a joint statement with the sheriff and the jail?
I'm not sure it will be a joint statement. They would have to agree to that, but I think we can definitely get input from them. Okay, I'm a thumbs up. There's 3 thumbs up.
Can I just clarify, just for the jail, because they're not policymakers. They aren't political figures. They follow the law. Whereas sheriff is a policy, political, and you all. So I want to be mindful that, I want to make sure that what they're doing is following the law and making sure that people who do come into our jail lawfully are treated with the best care and following court orders. I mean, that's really their jurisdiction.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for that clarification. But I do think there could be information about the role that the jail plays, and that would be part of it.
Because it could be then the entire law and justice system.
It really is.
Because the courts make the rulings. I mean, that they're on they get the order, they do it. So
not making judgment calls at the jail. Right.
So maybe we exclude the jail?
I think, when someone was brought from Portland to be detained at the jail when there's a federal detainee, and in that case, there was a judicial warrant. So I don't know. I feel like there's misinformation out there about what role the jail may be playing, but just clarifying. And if we follow, these are the rules we follow, and and the Keep Washington Working and all of those rules apply across the board to all of our departments.
Yeah, because I just want to, everybody's in a tough spot. And I think, you all have heard the feedback, and they don't have a discretion. Theirs is to follow legal orders, but more importantly is to make sure that those people who are housed in our jail are taken care of and, are kept safe and taken care of. So they're taking care of our people.
I think that's a good thing to include in a statement. Okay, well, there's 3 of us, and it may not be crystal clear to you, Jordan, but I think if you could take a first stab at this collective conversation that we've had, and then you can work with individual council members to refine that further, and it'll come back. Okay. Thank you. Yes, go ahead.
And because there's obviously so many different ways to write this and different things you could include or not include, when it comes to us, will we have the ability to vote on possibly modifying it, just like anything else.
Yeah, and if you have any specific ideas right now or examples of things that other jurisdictions have done, you can shoot that to Jordan and he'll, you know, we're tasking you with a difficult thing, Jordan. I want to acknowledge that. But you'll be able to have a back and forth and then we can discuss it collectively.
The most important thing, I think, at least on my end, is to clarify what the different complicated rules and jurisdictions and laws are, that helps clarify for the public what is allowed and what is not. So the input from the sheriff's office will be helpful.
Yep. Good. Okay. I think that concludes 5.2. So thank you all
Sure.
for coming. Oh, yep,
If I
go
could
ahead.
just make one last comment too. You know, I think the most important thing that we need to do is talk to our people who are in the US Congress, because immigration reform needs to be completed.
Well, yeah, we can communicate that to Marie Glusenkamp Perez. We can work on that. That'll be another letter. Okay, moving on to counselor reports. Counselor reports.
Chair, I just have one.
Oh, well, let's give people
wait.
let's give
All of-
people a moment.
you don't
Anyway,
have to leave.
thank you very much for sticking around. Yeah. Yeah, we got boards and commission reports. You might not want to miss that.
Sherry likes it.
She loves it. She loves it. Okay, see you later. Okay, any counselor reports?
Let's just wait one more minute.
Oh,
while
there's
everybody.
noise in the hallway.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we've got not much time left.
Really quick one. Okay, well, I do have a really quick report. So I am the chief locally elected official for Workforce Southwest Washington. I had the pleasure of joining CO Miriam Halliday and a couple of her employees and a couple of small business owners and board members yesterday for a visit to the state capitol to advocate for the economic security for all, which helps workers and families build stability through access to quality jobs, skills training, and critical support services, which is an initiative that's already been codified. But Workforce Southwest Washington and other workforces across the state need additional funding to continue to maintain it. We also advocated for the Community Reinvestment Project, which is a pilot program and reinvests resources into communities historically impacted by disinvestment, strengthening local businesses, and expanding workforce opportunities. We spoke to two senators, Senator Cortez, and staff member for Annette Cleveland, Senator Annette Cleveland, and Representative McClintock and Representative Wiley. And it sounded to me like they were all very supportive of both initiatives. So we hope that they can continue to support it along with other legislators and senators at the state capitol, because these initiatives are incredibly important to continue training individuals who may be affected by unemployment or other training needs in the workforce.
Okay, I have a quick one. I just wanted to let folks know that I attended the celebration of the opening of Clark County's new courthouse. This is the first major brick and mortar renovation build of its size since this public service building itself was built in 2004 and 5. And this was just heartening to see this project be finalized. It's beautiful. We, as the previous council that Councilor Belcott Young and I served on, approved the funding for this. We bonded it and the treasurer's office helped us figure out a way to finance. And so it's complete. It's beautiful. And all of the staff that are going to be housed there, I've never seen so many law and justice folks smiling so much. They were very happy. They were eking out their little spaces throughout the building. So if you get a chance, please please get over there and take a look at it. It's a major accomplishment. Others?
Sure, got a couple. Counselor Little and I got to enjoy 2 hours of training with the CAB, the Community Action Advisory Board, this past week, and the 2-hour meeting on top of that. Not a whole lot to discuss with that one. I did want to bring up, though, the RDPO, the Regional Disaster Preparedness Organization. And I think Counselor Little, you were on that last year. I was on it, I think, for my first 2 years in this role, but federal funding is anticipated to be disappearing, and the majority of funding for that organization is federal. And so they are looking at modifying themselves considerably from 7 FTE to 2. And so the organization is changing so considerably that there's going to have to be the decision at some point whether the county feels that there is, because the county does contribute funding to it, whether it meets the needs of the county for the resources that we're putting at it. I'm not there yet one way or another, but I just want to let you know that is coming down the pipeline. And then I wanted to give a shout out and thanks to Friends of Clark County. They held a panel this previous week on parks in Clark County, and Ross was able to be there from Parks, and myself and Dave Perlick from the city of Vancouver talking about the city's parks and kind of how we're coordinating our efforts here. And it was a great discussion about a really important part of our community that we often don't think of, and that's parks. So I just wanted to thank them for that opportunity and for the ability for the county really to get out the information to the public through their group.
Thank you. Counselor Belcott, do you have anything? Oops, sorry.
Oh, sorry, I'm coughing and sneezing. No, I don't.
Sorry. Well,
Sorry.
you've been a trooper today. Okay, then let's move on to work session request, public health code update 2027 environmental public health fees.
Yes, this is your first budget work session that's being requested. We do budget pretty much year round, but this is public health for their 2027 environmental public health fees. It's to get policy direction from council on the fee schedule, which is in our code, which requires a public hearing and an ordinance. They are hoping they have the desired date for June 24th. I think they're just trying to get in early to pick the date that they can get. But this is part of your annual budget direction and policy direction.
Everything seems possible for next June. Yeah, I'm a thumbs up on that.
Thank you.
Others? Got it. Okay. 7.2 interlocal agreement related to TDRs. Oh, the work session for interlocal agreement related to TDRs and the comprehensive plan update.
Sure.
Yes, go ahead.
Yep, this is bringing up the request from last week. Try to get thumbs up to have a work session on this topic. And since last week, we received a request for the joint work session from the mayor in my district, Camas mayor, as well as the mayor from the center and the mayor from Ridgefield, to have a joint work session to learn how an interlocal agreement would work. And I'm hoping that maybe we could do it at the same time as the TDR session that we approved recently.
I would be supportive of that, because I would like to learn more about it.
I would agree. I think it's worthy of a discussion. And work session is all that it is.
I think we already agreed to the TDR part of it. And I guess my concern would be, I don't know, what was sent over by the cities was an example of an interlocal agreement, but didn't include that proposal to have a urban holding applied on ag land. I don't know. My concern is that they're trying to squeeze something in here at the very end of the comp plan update that I would be interested in really understanding if this is even feasible related to the Growth Management Act.
I think that would be part of the discussion at the work session.
Who do we envision presenting this work session?
It would be, it's a joint work request, session request. So any of the jurisdictions interested that sent us the request could show up, and love to hear from county staff as well. Just want to learn more about how the interlocal agreement would work. And I apologize, I have to run to an appointment.
Okay. Councilor Belcott?
I don't think we have time to squeeze anything else before we make the deadline. I'm just purely wanting to know more about this because we've never discussed it before. But I mean, we're on a time crunch.
Right, I agree with that.
I can, and I think I said this last week, I can support, the presentation on TDRs. I'd like to learn more than what I've already researched myself, but hear from experts and staff. I don't know about the interlocal agreement. I think to a couple of people's points, we don't have the time, and it's kind of pointless and a waste of time at this point to want to hear about what an interlocal agreement with the city of Litchfield and what the proposed for TDRs looks like.
I guess all along I was keen on the TDRs, but I think the rest of it just maybe raises expectations of those cities that I don't know that we can meet at this point.
Didn't we already do a thumbs up and we got 3? Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, I just, because of Councilor Belcott's discussion, I just want to make sure that Councilor Belcott, you are talking about the TDRs and the ILA with the comp plan update. You're supportive of both of those with the work session.
Yes.
Thank you.
So my request would be to include compliance with GMA related to the swap with the urban holding.
I support that.
Jose, is it clear to you? Okay, I just want to make sure staff has clear. It's TDR overview, it's ILA, and compliance with GMA.
Good, Chris.
And just out of curiosity, is it ILAs in general or this particular ILA that came from Steve Stewart?
I think that Steve Stewart sent us a draft for just an idea to look at. So I would say not ILAs in general, but an ILA that could potentially be used as part of the comp plan and TDRs and how it all, and if it all ties together.
Right. And so will we have a separate TDR work session? Was that something already approved?
We already had it
We're all
approved
combining it
for-
all.
Yeah, council had approved that last year to be done after the comp plan and do it this year. But with this, it would be TDR, ILA, and the GMA compliance all in one.
Right. So I think we need to get someone who has expertise in TDRs. And I know
Yeah, Oliver.
Jose and I both participated in the Identity Clark County, and they had a couple of folks from King County and Snohomish, which was very good. But I do agree with David McDonald that I think Ridgefield has their sending and receiving maybe mixed up. Go ahead, Jose.
Thank you. Yeah, so I know that Oliver and I have reached out to both of the folks that presented at ICC, Identity Clark County last year. And I know that we are having a work session with the Planning Commission tomorrow. One of the gentlemen will be available online, so councils can
Welcome to
listen
tune in.
that.
Yeah.
Just to give an overview of that. And I know one of the persons used to be a consultant and now works for King County, so he has a lot of experience with TDRs and what that entails. I think we were looking at maybe looking at the same folks to bring to have the work session with council. I think I don't want to get into the proposal, but there's a lot there that there's some legal issues and some things that will need further discussion that I know in reviewing that we have some concerns about, and just how that affects the comp plan overall. Because really the way that's structured, you're still having to do a dedesignation, and what the ramifications are after the fact are certain things that there's just a lot of unknowns.
Right, and a limited amount of time. Okay, so it sounds like there were 3 and that will move forward. Policy updates. Thank you, Jose.
Good afternoon, Council. Again, for the record, Jordan Bogie, Policy Analyst. I have a handful of updates for you today. The first is related to a request from WSALFO. So that is the Association of Counties, the local public health officers group. And it is related to some of the bills that are attempting to address the shortfall in the FPHS accounts, both due to the change of classification of vapor products as tobacco products, which, as you'll recall, moves that tax revenue from a dedicated funding account for local public health to the state general fund, as well as proposed cuts in the governor's budget to the FPHS account. And so WSALFO has sent out this request to all counties, and the request is that that the county put together a resolution requesting that the state legislature recognize that public health is essential, and that the legislature maintains foundational public health services funding by fixing the vapor tax errors that support the FPHS account, as well as supporting core services in all communities. And that funding allows public health to rebuild a statewide system with increased efficiency. And so if council is interested in doing a resolution to that effect, I could put together a draft for council to consider. But that is a request from WSALFO to council.
Chair.
Go ahead.
I would very much support this, and I would actually like to add some language in there that it's really morally bankrupt to even consider taking those funds from where they're coming from into the general fund. If we're going to tax nicotine products, that tax revenue needs to go to support public health and the problems associated with that, and trying to prevent, further people from getting into that addiction. But it is just morally wrong to even consider taking that money away from public health. So I don't know how you say that in a nice way and maybe a little less pointed than I did, but I would like to have that message in that resolution.
Okay, I can support that. Other comments? Councilor Belcott, are you in agreement in a resolution?
Absolutely agree with that.
Okay, and I would just want to add a little tidbit as well. And just from our public health, Board of Health meeting this morning, just to make this specific to the needs of Clark County, I think the low vaccination rate and the experience we had several years ago related to measles and the cost, I think it was about $3 million that the county incurred in responding to that. And we have another case of measles in the county now. So I think that would lend some immediacy to this. Other thoughts? I think we're all supportive of this.
Great,
Anything
thank you,
else?
council. I'll bring a draft back of that for you next week. 2 more items for your consideration. The first one is around Senate Bill 6080. And I know council had talked a little bit about this in our Monday briefing with our lobbyist. and council was not ready to take a position, but was interested in learning a little bit more. I think I'd sent some information to council. And so just to remind folks, because I know we didn't have all the counselors there on Monday, Senate Bill 6080 is sponsored by Senator Cleveland. And what the bill would do is would make it optional for jails to contract with federal organizations to house federal detainees. And so under the current law, jails are required to house federal detainees if the jail has room, and if the federal government is providing support for such detainees and any additional required personnel. This new bill would change state law to make it optional for jails, except in the case of a valid judicial warrant. Federalism still exists. I think one of the commenters mentioned the supremacy clause. So except in those cases where there's a judicial warrant in Washington, it would become optional for jails to house federal detainees. And if a jail does decide to accept federal detainees, they would be required to enter into a contract with the federal government beforehand to make sure that it meets requirements for that the federal government is going to provide those resources and pay for those services rendered. If a jail decides not to contract with the federal government, a jail could refuse to house federal detainees, with the exception of when there is that valid judicial warrant.
Great. Well, as I've thought about it, I think it's a good idea. We got feedback from David Shook and his staff, and it sounds like there's would not be a problem with this. And I think it anticipates if things escalate related to ICE enforcement, this would be a good safety measure to have. So I'd support it.
So do I. But really, oh, sorry, go ahead, Councilor Belfont.
I just have a question. Would that impact funding that the jail might be privy to? Like, how does that work?
So currently the jail does not have any agreements with federal agencies. They in the past, I think the jail has had some agreements with federal agencies, but right now there are no contracts with them. So it wouldn't change the current level of funding. And I don't believe the jail receives federal funding for its direct operations. I'm not sure if there's anything related to I know there have been efforts to get Medicaid in the jail, but I think that's kind of a different program. But it would not preclude the jail from contracting with federal agencies, but it would require that a contract is in place if they were going to work together. I think some of the impetus is around, I know there have been efforts to use like administrative warrants rather than judicial warrants for arresting folks as some of the immigration enforcement activities and otherwise. And so I think it's trying to get at that piece of it as well.
Okay. Thanks, Jordan.
Chair.
Just go ahead.
Jordan, remind me what the current law is. I think you said that it is a requirement, correct?
Yeah, so under current law, jails are required to house federal detainees if the jail has room and if the federal government is providing support for such detainees and any required additional personnel.
Okay, thank you. I can support 6080.
Other counselors, we'd need 3 to. We are almost done.
Has there been any cons identified to it that you're aware of?
So I'm not aware right now of any opposition to the bill. I do know we talked to our lobbyists on Monday, and WASPIC, so that is the Association of Sheriffs and Police Chiefs, is still looking at the bill, and they may request some tweaks. But if I'm remembering correctly, I believe they testified other and not as opposed.
Okay, I think this gives a little more local authority, so this looks good to me.
Okay, so that's three. Counselor Belcott, one way or the other. Up. There's four of us supportive.
Thank you, Council. And just one more item for your consideration today. This just came up today, and it is related to a hearing on Friday. And so that's kind of the timeliness issue here. This is House Bill 2018-2018. It is a bill that would increase the state solid waste tax over the next 5 years. And dedicate that revenue to implement local solid waste management programs. And so this came to us from our solid waste folks who have been working with the Association of Counties has a subgroup with all the solid waste folks, and they are looking for local solid waste programs to testify in support of this bill. But council has not taken a position, so that's the impetus for this request. But what it would do is over the next 5 years, it would increase what is currently a 3.6% state solid waste tax that is imposed at the point of getting rid of solid waste by an additional 0.5% each year for 5 years. So that would be an increase of 2.5% over that time span. It would put that revenue to implement local solid waste management programs. And the reason why this is coming forward right now is that some of our solid waste programming is experiencing financial strain because of increases in state requirements around solid waste management, recycling, and producer responsibility laws. And so this is attempting to get some additional revenue that is collected at the state level, but that would be remitted to counties for solid waste management purposes. And so I just would see if council is interested in supporting this bill. And if so, we might have some of our solid waste staff who would be potentially interested in testifying on this bill on Friday at the hearing if council is supportive.
Would this be us getting a portion of that the state takes in sales tax? Or would it be a new tax?
So the state, the state imposes this tax on solid waste collection services, and the tax is collected from the consumer by the service provider and then sent to the Department of Revenue. And so the solid waste tax, the funds from that go into the Public Works Assistance account. And that Public Works Assistance account provides grants and loans to local governments. And the way that this additional tax revenue would be apportioned is that 50% of the new tax would be distributed equally amongst all counties. And then the other 50% of the tax raised would be distributed on a per capita basis to counties and cities based on their percentage of state population.
Can you say that again, please? The 50%.
Yes. Yeah. So there's this new tax that would be basically every year for the next 5 years would increase this solid waste tax by 0.5%. And 50% of all of that collected would be distributed equally amongst all counties. So that favors smaller counties to some degree, right? Because King County, Clark County, there's just a lot more people and more solid waste. So 50% of the revenue raised statewide would be distributed equally among counties. And then the other 50% would be distributed on a per capita basis to cities and counties based on the percentage of state population.
Chair.
Yes.
I have a question, Jordan. Is there a solid waste agency that collects this tax, or is it being collected through sewage and water?
So it is, it's the taxes on solid waste collection services.
Mhm.
So I believe that would be on. Well, I know the county's contracting with like waste management. They're the ones who would collect that tax and then remit it to the State Department of Revenue, is my understanding.
Okay. Do we know on average what that'll cost the taxpayer?
I do not have that information in front of me. This all just kind of came up today with the hearing on Friday.
Mhm.
So we're reaching the limits of what I know about this bill. I had asked our solid waste folks for some more information on impacts, but I haven't gotten a response on that yet.
So I'm kind of wondering if, because I use the dump frequently, and they collect a refuse tax there, and so I'm wondering if it may actually be collected at the dump, and so like Waste Connections, they take all of our garbage to the I shouldn't call it the dump. That's not the proper term, but they take it all there, and they are probably paying the tax there, and then probably through the contract that we have with Waste Connections, that tax is probably built into the rates, I would assume. But yeah, I'm hesitant to move forward on this without being able to understand the impacts to people, to folks, and without a better understanding of exactly how those funds would be used. I understand, they're struggling like every other department in the county for sure, but and this is a timeliness, so we have to give a yes now.
Well, this is just there is a hearing on the bill on Friday. But that's sort of the timeliness issue. But my advice to council would be, like, if you don't feel that you have a full enough picture to support it, we can always track the bill, and I can work on getting more information for you. And if the bill makes it out of committee and moves forward, council could consider supporting it at that point too.
That sounds good. And would this be based on how much solid waste you're generating as an individual?
Yes, I believe so. Solid waste tax is not an area I have deep knowledge of, just to be forthright with you, but it's the taxes on solid waste collection services. So to the extent that you're being billed on the amount of waste that you're generating, either by weight at the transfer station, or if you have different size trash cans, I know there are different rates that you can pay. You're paying currently 3.6%, and so that would be based on whatever that rate that you're getting charged for services. So in short, yes, I think that is accurate.
I would be okay waiting till after the first hearing. We can see who weighs in and for and against, and be more informed. Others?
Agree.
I agree.
All right.
And I would say perhaps we don't need a work session, but maybe our solid waste staff could come join us for our legislative meeting on Monday and just give us a couple minutes or something.
I can certainly ask and see if they can join, to at least provide some more information, if not also join on Monday.
Yeah, in terms of what impact it would have for our programs, that'd be good. All right. Anything else, Jordan?
That's all I've got for you today, Council.
Okay. Then let's move on to executive session. 9.1 RCW 42.30.110 paren 1 paren little g for 15 minutes, no after action. So that would be 4:15.
Chair, I think we should add a few minutes there for a restroom break.
Well, it would give you 5 minutes.
It's 3:57.
4:20? 4:15? Okay, 4:20.
The Clark County Council has asked us to announce that executive session will be extended for an additional 10 minutes and open session will reconvene at 4:30. Thank you. The Clark County Council has asked us to announce that executive session will be extended for an additional 10 minutes and open session will reconvene at 4:40. Thank you. The council chair has asked us to announce that executive session will be extended for an additional 5 minutes and open session will reconvene at 4:45. Thank you. The county council has asked us to announce that executive session will be extended for an additional 5 minutes and open session will reconvene at 4:50. Thank you. The council chair has asked us to announce that executive session will be extended for an additional 5 minutes and open session will reconvene at 4:55. Thank you.
Okay, council is back from our executive session. There's no after action. We've completed our agenda, and without objection, this meeting is adjourned.